The sterile waiting room of Morrison Tech Solutions felt cold and unwelcoming as Rachel adjusted her blazer nervously and tried to keep 3-year-old Emma entertained with quiet games. At 28, Rachel had been unemployed for 4 months, since her previous company downsized, and this marketing coordinator position represented her best opportunity to provide stability for her daughter. She had arranged for her usual babysitter to watch Emma during the interview, but when the sitter called in sick that morning, Rachel faced an impossible choice: cancel the interview she had spent weeks preparing for, or bring Emma and hope the hiring manager would understand. Rachel checked her watch. The interview was scheduled to begin in 5 minutes, and Emma was starting to get restless in her yellow dress, swinging her legs from the adult-sized chair. "Mama, when can we go home?" Emma whispered, clutching the small coloring book Rachel had brought to keep her occupied. "Soon, sweetheart. Mama just needs to talk to some people about work, and then we'll go get ice cream." The receptionist, A.E., stern woman in her 50s, had been shooting disapproving looks in their direction since they arrived. When Emma accidentally dropped a crayon that rolled across the polished floor, the woman's expression became openly hostile. "Miss Porter," the receptionist called out, her voice sharp with barely concealed irritation. "Ms. Hartwell will see you now." Rachel gathered her portfolio and Emma's belongings, taking her daughter's hand as they approached the hallway leading to the conference room. "Excuse me," the receptionist said, blocking their path. "You cannot bring a child into the interview." Rachel felt her cheeks flush with embarrassment. "I understand this is unusual, but my child care fell through this morning. She'll be very quiet, I promise. Company policy strictly prohibits non-employees in business meetings. You'll need to make other arrangements." Rachel's heart sank. She had no other arrangements to make. Her parents lived across the country, she had no siblings nearby, and her few friends were at work themselves. "Please," Rachel said quietly, aware that other people in the waiting room were watching the exchange. "I really need this opportunity. Emma will sit quietly and color. She won't be any trouble." The receptionist's expression remained unmoved. "I'm sorry, but rules are rules. Perhaps you should have considered your situation before scheduling the interview." Rachel felt tears threatening. 4 months of rejections, dwindling savings, and mounting bills had brought her to this moment, and it was slipping away because of circumstances beyond her control. "What seems to be the problem here?" The calm, authoritative voice came from behind them. Rachel turned to see a man in his mid-30s approaching, wearing an impeccably tailored navy suit and carrying himself with the confident bearing of someone accustomed to command. "Mr. Morrison," the receptionist said, her tone immediately becoming deferential. "This candidate brought a child to her interview. I was explaining our policy about non-employees in business meetings." Rachel's heart skipped. "Morrison. This was the CEO of the company, the man whose innovation in sustainable technology had made him one of the city's most successful entrepreneurs." "I see." Thomas Morrison looked at Rachel with thoughtful gray eyes, then down at Emma, who was looking up at him with curious innocence. "And what's your name, young lady?" "I'm Emma," she replied politely, the way Rachel had taught her. "I'm 3 years old." Thomas smiled, kneeling down to Emma's eye level. 3 is a very important age. What do you like to do, Emma?" "I like to draw and read stories. Mama reads to me every night." Thomas stood and looked at Rachel, who was waiting for the inevitable rejection. "Miss Porter, I presume? I'm Thomas Morrison. Would you and Emma like to join me for your interview?" Rachel stared at him in surprise. "Mr. Morrison, I don't want to impose. I understand if you need to reschedule." "Nonsense. Some of our best discussions happen when we step outside conventional boundaries." He gestured toward the hallway. "Besides, Emma seems like excellent company." As they walked toward the conference room, the receptionist called after them. "Mr. Morrison, the insurance liability will be my responsibility," Thomas replied without turning around. "Thank you for your concern." In the spacious conference room, Thomas pulled out a chair for Emma next to Rachel's seat at the polished table. "Emma, would you like to draw a picture while your mama and I talk about work?" Emma nodded enthusiastically, spreading her coloring book and crayons on the table with the seriousness of someone given an important task. "Now then," Thomas said, settling into his chair, "tell me about your background in digital marketing." Rachel had expected the interview to be awkward with Emma present, but Thomas had a remarkable ability to include the little girl naturally in their conversation without losing focus on the professional discussion. When Emma finished a drawing, he would admire it briefly before returning to questions about campaign strategies and market analysis. "Your portfolio shows impressive results," Thomas said, reviewing Rachel's work samples. "The increase in engagement rates for the Henderson account is particularly notable." "Thank you. I believe in understanding the audience's genuine needs rather than just pushing products. People respond to authenticity, an important philosophy." Thomas glanced at Emma, who was quietly working on a new picture. "And how do you balance professional demands with personal responsibilities?" Rachel hesitated, unsure how honest to be. "It's challenging. Being a single mother means every decision involves considering Emma's needs. But it's also taught me exceptional time management and the ability to prioritize effectively." "I imagine it has. What happened with your previous position?" "The company downsized and eliminated the entire marketing department. I've been looking for work for 4 months." Rachel's voice wavered slightly. "Today was actually my first interview that made it past the initial screening." Thomas nodded thoughtfully. "The job market has been difficult. What specifically interests you about Morrison Tech?" "Your commitment to sustainable technology solutions. I believe marketing should promote products that genuinely improve people's lives, not just generate profit. Your work in renewable energy storage aligns with my values." As the interview continued, Emma finished her drawing and approached Thomas, shyly. "Mr. Morrison, I made this for you." She handed him a picture of a tall building with windows, stick figures, and a bright yellow sun. In child's handwriting, she had written, "Thank you," across the top. Thomas accepted the drawing with genuine appreciation. "This is beautiful, Emma. I'll put it in my office." "What's this building here?" "That's where you work. Mama said you help make things better for people." Thomas looked at Rachel with an expression she couldn't quite read. "Your mama is very smart." After 45 minutes, the interview concluded. Thomas walked them back to the waiting area, still carrying Emma's drawing. "Ms. Porter, I'll be in touch within the week with our decision." Rachel shook his hand, feeling cautiously optimistic despite her unconventional circumstances. "Thank you for your consideration, Mr. Morrison, and thank you for being so kind to Emma. Thank you both for reminding me what's truly important." 3 days later, Rachel's phone rang while she was making breakfast for Emma. "Ms. Porter, this is Thomas Morrison. I'd like to offer you the marketing coordinator position with a starting salary of $65,000 and full benefits including childcare assistance." Rachel nearly dropped the phone. "Mr. Morrison, that's incredibly generous. But the salary you mentioned is higher than what was advertised. I've had time to think about our conversation. You demonstrated exactly the kind of innovative thinking and authentic character we need. Also, I've been researching on-site childcare options. It seems like something our company should offer." "Are you saying—" "I'm saying that sometimes the best business decisions are also the most humane ones. Emma would be welcome in our new childcare program once it's established. Until then, we'll provide a childcare stipend." 6 months later, Rachel sat in her office reviewing a successful campaign that had increased client engagement by 40%. Through her window, she could see the construction of Morrison Tech's new Family Resource Center, complete with a state-of-the-art childcare facility. Emma attended a wonderful daycare nearby, but on special occasions, she still visited the office, her artwork now decorating several walls as part of Thomas's Authentic Perspectives program. That afternoon, Thomas stopped by Rachel's office. "How's the Henderson renewal campaign progressing?" ahead of schedule and under budget. They're so pleased with the results that they're expanding their contract. Outstanding. Any plans for the weekend? Emma and I are going to the Science Museum. She's fascinated by the renewable energy exhibit. Thomas smiled. She has good instincts, just like her mother. As he prepared to leave, Rachel called after him. Thomas, can I ask you something? That day of my interview, why did you decide to proceed instead of rescheduling? Thomas paused, considering his answer. Because in 30 seconds, Emma showed more genuine courtesy and curiosity than most adults demonstrate in 30 minutes. And because you handled an impossible situation with grace and honesty. Those aren't qualities you can teach or fake. Rachel understood that the most important interview of her career had actually been conducted by a 3-year-old who had drawn a picture and said thank you. Sometimes the greatest opportunities come not when we present a perfect facade, but when we show up authentically as ourselves, complete with the complications and commitments that make us human. The job had changed her life, but more importantly, it had led her to a workplace that valued the whole person, not just the professional performance. And Emma had learned that sometimes being yourself is the most powerful thing you can do.